Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sedona International Film Festival, where we're celebrating our 25th anniversary. We are coming to you live from the Sedona Rouge Hotel and Spa, who's one of our sponsors, along with Black Magic Design and Digitex. So we'd like to thank our sponsors for participating and being part of our big anniversary celebration. I'm Carol Kahn, and I'd like to introduce you to Rebecca. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome, and your film is?
The Happiness Machine.
The Happiness Machine. Mm-hmm. So we were just talking briefly. This is your first time in Sedona.
Yes.
What do you think?
It's beautiful. It's breathtaking. I'm also surprised by the snow. It feels like fake snow, like someone just put prop snow up everywhere, because my impression of it coming in was that it was...
No, we experienced the snow, and it was actually, I think it was 18 inches of snow, and it's the most, I think, that Sedona has ever had in snowfall.
Wow.
Yes. But it could be a good prop. Actually, this is... They used to shoot movies here, so...
Yeah, I can see why.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. So you are originally from Iowa.
Yep.
And you now kind of grace both coasts.
Yes. Yes, I work as a filmmaker, so I kind of follow jobs. I do some commercial work, and I'm also the director of originals at Apartment Therapy Media. So we create a lot of different films about home and food and cooking. And
interesting. So this is your first film.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the film.
So The Happiness Machine is about a farmer in rural Iowa exploring what it means to pass on the gift of place.
Okay, so we have a trailer that we'd like to see.
Good.
Happiness is an incredibly elusive concept. My greatest goal for this was to give to my children and grandchildren a gift of place. That's different from a gift of money. They cannot, this is an emotional gift. Ray Bradbury's Dandelion Wine. Have you read it? The Happiness Machine came from the man who goes into his garage and he makes a happiness machine. And in the end, it explodes. He burns up, he loses it.
So, do you happen to know this person?
I do. So I grew up in Iowa, and when I was 8, we had a tree get hit by lightning in my yard, and my mom answered a classified ad. And so Carl, who was a traveling sawyer at that time with his sawmill, came and made them into logs. And then we became friends after that, so I got to see the promised land, as he calls it, develop over the course of my childhood.
Interesting. So what is it that you have taken away from all of this? What big message? I mean, that is part of your film, so what is the message?
Yeah, well, part of what I wanted to do was make a film about a question, not a message. So I feel like for me, the central question of the film has to do with the meaning of life and of work and of legacy and of sort of the point of all the work that we do and what we're passing on to the people that we love. Carl it was always his dream to buy this plot of land and develop it. He grew up a sharecropper on the property when he was younger, and he did his dream, including building this full span bridge with his own hands. Once you see the film, the footage is incredible. Out of, I think, 384 recycled railroad ties. So his way of thinking about passing on the promised land is 22 acres, and his goal is to pass it on to the next person who lives there better than he found it. And I think if everyone lived that way, then it kind of simplifies all the big questions get boiled down to just really small everyday things that make life better.
Well, it seems like that it's given you a good way to live your own life.
Yeah. I mean, just knowing Carl is inspiration, and he's it was a wonderful film to spend time editing, because all of the things that didn't make it into the film I get to keep.
Well, it seems like a wonderful story. So in interviewing Carl and speaking with him, was there anything that emerged that was different? Because you said you knew him, so you knew him for quite some time, but actually when you start interviewing people, you begin to unveil more things about them. So was there anything else that came out about Carl that surprised you?
Well, there were many things, but I think this concept of the gift of place is a pretty original idea in terms of how our culture operates now. The value of the memories that you have connected to a place, I think, is something I've always felt instinctually, but to have someone say, hey, that has a value that is maybe more valuable than money, or at least it's something that is part of the conversation. And I think to have him say that felt really, I guess, honoring to my own childhood and my attachment to the farm that I grew up on, and the places that I think anytime you live anywhere, you're constantly creating that sense of home around you, and those small things that you do are important.
So you grew up in Iowa, and you told me that you live part-time in New York and part-time in LA. So there are very distinct differences between all of those cultures.
Yeah.
So where do you find your place of home?
I mean, that's sort of the question, and that's part of why I made the film, is because I feel like in some ways it's the people that are around me, in some ways it's the work that I do, but there's a piece of home that's always just going to be Iowa and where I grew up.
So this particular film, being your first, has it projected you to want to do more films?
Yes. I mean, this whole film was, for me, it's 23 minutes of, in some ways, like, these are the things I value, but will anyone else respond to them, was sort of the question I asked myself editing in the wee hours of the morning. And to just have the experience of being at film festivals and having people respond to the story and to Carl, and to almost have myself outside of that process, because Carl's been to a few festivals, and to watch audience members come up to him, and even here there's like wonderful people have come up and said, there's people here who have moved here from Iowa, and all these flood of memories came back that I haven't thought about in so long. It's just been rewarding to have people connect with the story that I connected to through the film. That's sort of the point to me. So.
And you made a good point. You just kind of said something about spending wee hours in the night putting your film together. Sometimes people don't realize the amount of work that it takes to put a film together.
Yeah.
How much time did it actually take you to do this?
I mean, I spent 2 years editing it. That was because it was on top of other projects. I mein, my sort of day job projects were during the day, and then nights and weekends I would spend editing this film. And so, yeah, and it was a part of almost every day. I would find a way to listen to a piece of the interview, or think about it, or process it with a friend, or the illustrations and the animations are a big part of it. That was a collaboration between my friend Erin Brown Thomas, who also has a film here.
Yes.
She's the animator, and then Georgie Ellen McCausland is the illustrator, and she's from London. I've never actually met her, but we had many Skype conversations spanning time zones where we kind of came up with that aesthetic.
Well, Rebecca, how can people find out about your film?
Well, you can find us both on Instagram and Facebook with Happiness Machine Film, or you can follow me, R. Blooms, and I'll have updates about the film as it progresses. Also, we have our broadcast debut on Iowa Public Television March 7th at 7:30, so that's very exciting. You can tune into that live stream through Iowa Public Television. And Carl and I will be live on air. It's during their Pledge Week. So we'll be there for the full hour. They'll show the film and answering questions and talking. So
too bad Carl couldn't come here.
I know.
Well, hopefully we're live now. I mean, he should be watching.
Yes. Yeah. He had he couldn't come this year, but he sends his love.
Well, we send our love back to Carl. So your film is going to be shown when?
It's already had its 2 screenings.
Okay.
Tuesday and Thursday, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rebecca, for being with us,
Yes.
and look forward to seeing you later on today.
Okay.
And
Thanks.
thank you for being with us. We'll be back with more from the Sedona International Film Festival after this.